Let's do this quietly and then we're going to talk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh boy, oh boy. 11, 12, 13, 14. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Skeletons, 12 feet. 15. Not largest skeleton ever found. 1919. Oh yeah, this was 15. 16. 1919. This is our time. Giant skeleton, 18 feet tall. By the gods. 17. 18. Look at the door. 19. Look at the door. The entrance. 20. I know some of them are AI CGI, right? But it's the message that counts here. 21. 22. 23. 24. I wonder why some doors and windows in some of the old buildings were so big. 25, 26, 27. I wonder why in the old world buildings some of the doors and windows were so big. We have to speak about the Millennium of Jesus Christ. Everything was with a J and an I. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Wow, look at that. Amazing. Now, let's go back to this here. Well, first of all, these doors here. I just wonder why the old world buildings, and by the way, the millennium of Christ, of Jesus, Jesus, well, that's with an I or a J, because in German you read the J like an I, ended in the 1400s. More or less. So between what we call the 1400s discovery of America, blah, blah, until the 1800s, there's those 300 years of the world in ruins, not enough people. The whole thing where the Renaissance comes and they say, oh, these are our buildings, we built them. You know, all these societies get formed. And then in the 1800s, the catastrophe happens with Napoleon and all that stuff, and the comet and the nuclear war, winter, and lots of explosions in the world, and the cities get destroyed, which were empty. So for 300 years, from the 1400s to the 1800s, nothing happened, just the world in ruins. Then in the 1800s, massive destruction. And then from the 1850s, industrial revolution, repopulation, there's some leftovers of the giants here and there. And then all of a sudden the 1900s start, and the First World War and the Second World War, and what happened in Russia and Germany and stuff. History is very recent, more recent than I was expecting, considering that my parents met their grandparents who were born in the 1800s. Amazing stuff. Now, prehistoric giants, it says here. This was something from the late 1800s and early 1900s. Lots of these things are in the archives of history. Workmen find many who were evidently left on a battlefield of centuries ago. A battlefield of centuries ago. Skeletons of a race of giants who average 12 feet in height were found today by workmen engaged upon a drainage project near Crowville, near here. There are several scores at least of skeletons, and they lie in various positions. It is believed they were killed in a prehistoric fight. Why does it have to be a prehistoric? And that the bodies lay there where they fell, blah, blah. Wonderful discovery. Great excitement among the workmen. The largest skeleton ever found. The exhumation of an antediluvian. By the way, the flood happened more recently than we were told. And there were several floods, by the way. Look at this. Friday, July 11, 1919, just after the First World War. Giant skeleton, 18 feet tall, Austin, Texas. if the report that the fossilized skeleton of a giant 18 feet tall has been found near Seymour, Texas is true, it is the most important ethnological discovery ever made in the world, remarked Dr. J.E. Pierce, professor of anthropology of the University of Texas. It would break all previous records of giants by nearly 10 feet. The tallest man known to anthropological research was only 8 feet inches in height. The skeleton in possession, blah, blah. And there's so many of these articles and books of the 1800s, and of course we have the Smithsonian, and we have all these things of, when you go through the world, even today, they said, no, you're not allowed to make excavations because you have to preserve. And my question is, preserve what? It's just dirt and land and earth and insects and nothing else. And there's places like in the deserts and in the jungles and in the forests and say, no, you're not allowed to dig. So if we dig several meters, sometimes you dig a couple of meters or 3 meters and you find lots of things, and you find empty cities which were buried, and you find skeletons of 8 feet and 10 feet and 12 feet and 15 feet and 20 feet tall. And then I say, and we look at all these old world buildings with an absolutely amazing architecture, and now we know about the Millennium of Jesus Christ. So this means that, because now we know about the ether and electromagnetic forces, and when living beings are surrounded and interconnected with the atmospheric etheric energy, everything is bigger. Plants are bigger, animals are bigger, therefore human beings are bigger and taller and stronger. Which means that Jesus Christ was also bigger. And by the way, we have now the whole, the coins and the monuments with a J and an I in front. And now we know that 1,000 years was added in history. And what they called the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, is actually the Millennium. Which we don't know if it's a millennium of 1,000 years, or was it like 800, or it was more than 1,000. That is too much for me to understand. Way too much. Of course, I understand that the photos, some of them are CGI AI, but that's the best I can do, because imagine being in the 1800s, 1900s, and you discover these things, how many roadworks and so many men working in the field, and they just find all these things, and they just have these agents coming to you and say, this is ours. And that's even I saw some stories about men who are working. I mean, you have to put yourself in context. Primitive men, they just work, labor, and then they found this, and of course they advise the authorities, and all of a sudden they come with the trucks, they load everything in, and they take it away. And you shut up. And this happened in the 1800s and in the 1900s. Now, I must say, when I see big doors, I feel impact in my brain, in my knowledge, in my soul, and in my existence. And I am totally impacted when I see, when I get to understand the difference in height. And especially when you see the old world buildings with doors and entrances, and even a window makes us adults today look ridiculous. The windows make us look ridiculous. The doors, I'm not even going to say anything, because the doors makes us look like tiny, you know what. But I like it when I finally understand history, geography, and geopolitics, military. Indeed.